All right, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Everett DeLorme, and we are back for another episode of Pepper with Everett. And today we have a very special guest. And I know that I say that, all of our guests are special. There's no doubt about that. If I choose to have a conversation with someone, it's because they do something in the volleyball world. They're special. They have something to say. But this guy is quite possibly one of the most recognized people in the world of volleyball, one of the hardest working people in the world of volleyball, and honestly, also one of the nicest people in the world of volleyball that I have met or worked with. He is hands down the most viral person in the world of volleyball, doing millions upon millions of views over the past couple of years now. He is undoubtedly, in my books, the best videographer in volleyball. He is the guy that made me really put down a camera and be like, I'm not going to be able to do this. This is not the pathway for me because there's no way I'm going to keep up with what Josh Nekoba is doing. Josh, welcome to the show. Good to see you, buddy. How you doing?
Cool, Everett. Appreciate you bringing me on. And I wasn't expecting to be gassed up so much like that. So I really appreciate it, man.
Hey, come on. You got to know that you're going to be gassed up if you're coming here to chat. I mean, I've always been a big fan of yours, but especially over the past year, everything that you've done, throughout the VNL, 3 different world championships, all of your vlogs, everything going on. Like has been, I've got to see some of it firsthand, got to be there for some of it, but even just watching it, via Instagram and TikTok and YouTube with your vlog, it's been fun to watch.
Appreciate it, man. And at the end of the day, that's my goal is behind everything I do with Nekoba Visuals is just to get more people watching the sport. I mean, that's always been my biggest motivation behind it all. I grew up in Hawaii. I grew up in Hawaii around University of Hawaii men's volleyball, and there's a big culture around volleyball in Hawaii. So coming up for college in California, seeing how little people, I wouldn't say it was a little people, but seeing how empty Poly Pavilion was at UCLA, like that really opened my eyes to how much, I wouldn't say how much work is needed to be done, but how different it is. I guess it depends on your perspective, but yeah, how much work is needed to be done to get more representation for this sport, especially on the men's side. And the women's side. In California, viewership, I feel is something we've always really struggled with. And,
Bro.
It's always been my goal to help spread the sport and, get some more eyes for these athletes because, they deserve it for the amount of talent and work they're putting in. And,
that is literally one of the first conversations we ever had. We had a nice little video call one time when I forget where I was going, but I was in the airport, and you and I had been on a business call, on a marketing call. Someone on us to work, and you were like, "What do you think the sport needs to grow?" And we had a nice little chat about that. It's so wild to me when I started seeing that reality of the California teams, especially playing to empty stadiums, because growing up in Canada, the idea is always that the Mecca is California. That the fans are there, the players are there, everyone who was there. Now, obviously, can I ask you about Hawaii first? Because it does seem that like the island has a much different volleyball culture. When you look at especially, the indoor national teams and the beach national teams in the United States, they're filled with Hawaiian athletes. The University of Hawaii packs the Stan Sheriff Center. It's one of the few stadium names that people know in the volleyball world. What is it about Hawaii and Hawaii volleyball that makes it so special and so cultural at a point?
I think it's just the, amount of teams. There was a lot of men's club teams, at least growing up. And I guess also the stigma of volleyball being a girl's sport is not really that prevalent in Hawaii. I feel like, I never saw volleyball as a girl's sport growing up. I thought it was just another sport. I think, University of Hawaii does a great job of that by having such a high level team. But also my dad grew up playing volleyball in Hawaii as well. So that's kind of how I got into it in the beginning, how he got me started into it. But yeah, in terms of why Hawaii has such a high level, I only played up until high school. So in terms of like understanding like further levels of development, I wouldn't say I'm too high of an expert on that, but if I had to assume, I think there's just a lot of talent out there, and it's just been kind of festering and growing upon itself.
Really, you only played until high school? I would have thought it was a little bit later.
Well, I started playing when I was 8, and then or 8 or 10. I started
Dang.
around 8 or 10. I started like super young, and then I played all the way until high school. I was my my parents put me through a lot of sports. Up until middle school, I was like really committed to baseball, volleyball, and swimming. But baseball and volleyball overlap in seasons, so I had to pick between the two. And I didn't make the high school baseball team, but I didn't make the middle school baseball team, but I made the middle school volleyball team. So then I just
Mm.
stuck with volleyball and swimming. But then coming towards like the end of high school, like there was a lot of talent at my school surrounding
Would you
me.
go
So
like?
it was very
Did you go to
competitive.
Punahou?
Yeah, Punahou.
Wow.
Um, you're good. You're good. There was a lot of talent around me, so it was hard to be on that high level team. But also, I was pretty solid at swimming, so I ended up going to Cal Lutheran for swimming.
Mm.
I probably could have played D3 volleyball. I actually was trying out for the team at Cal Lutheran, but I had
Wow.
fractured my collarbone skateboarding in class. It was the first day of swim practice, and during also volleyball tryouts, I fractured my collarbone skateboarding in class.
And then
So
there
that
goes
pretty
the
much
swimming
ended.
career, and there goes the volleyball career.
Well, I still held on to the swimming career for a little while. I took that year and just kind of, did PT and worked out in the gym and swam what I could. I came back and finished my swim career, but the volleyball career never recovered.
I mean, to everyone's benefit, I think.
Yeah.
Like it's
No, I
it's one of
agree.
those things that like, hey, like there is a bit of a silver lining. I mean, we've hung out. I know how tall you are. I don't know if the volleyball career would have actually worked out all of that well before. But what was your stroke in swimming?
I was a freestyle sprinter and I did butterfly as
Ooh,
well. Yeah.
okay. So you like those short distances, like 50 meters, 100 meters, or
Yeah, 50 meters because my endurance is absolutely horrible. 50 meters freestyle and 100 meters and 100-meter butterfly or yards.
dang. Okay. I mean, your endurance in the pool might be a little shitty, but we know now that your endurance with a camera out there recording matches is pretty damn good. In ballpark it for me, if you had to estimate how many matches you've covered this year in 2025, how many do
My
you think it would
goodness.
be?
I mean, are we counting beach matches as well?
Yeah. Beach matches, because how many beach? I don't think you did too many beach events because we. Oh no,
I
never mind. We weren't in Qatar together this year. That was the end of last year.
did three. I was at Playa del Carmen
Hmm.
at the beginning of the year. I was in Cape Town and Australia.
Okay.
So I mean, if I had to ballpark estimate, I'd say at least somewhere between like 200 to 400 games. I mean, it's
I
just,
would, it's
I mean,
probably more than that, bro. When you're considering the world champs and VNL, where you're like VNL, you're doing at least 2 matches a day, but it's more like two or three, like 3 or 4. World champs, you're doing 4 matches a day. Like beach, you're
yeah.
doing 10 to 12 sometimes. Like you're probably like, there's no way it's 200.
Okay. Maybe closer to four. Because also I did a lot of NCAA, so it's
Yeah.
it's just kind of like habit. I don't know. I honestly don't really know what got into me, but like that first year in 2023 when I really started doing NCAA, I just kind of went to as many games as possible. And I've just been kind of doing that since. I mean, ever since I started with VNL and working with Volleyball World, it's kind of slowed a little bit with NCAA in terms of my hustle of going to as many games as possible. But I think, at least for me, the biggest problem with NCAA games is there's a lot of overlap. So you'll probably get like 2 or 3 massive games happening on the same day, and I have to choose between those three. But yeah, I mean, something just kind of clicked, and once filming started working out for me, or once I started realizing how much fun it was just to come out to these games and be around these athletes, I kind of just, it was addictive just going to all these games and capturing video and being able to share it to the world.
I feel like you're like me in that way where I could spend all day at an event. Like for the beach events, like I've worked with some people like, I don't want to go to the early matches. Like I don't want to go to the ADMs and those matches. Like, no, I want to be there. I want to be there from the first matches of the day all the way to the end. Same thing with the VNL. Like I want to be there for all 4 matches. And it honestly doesn't feel like work. Like, does it feel like work to you when you are out there with a camera shooting?
No, I mean, doing the 2 indoor world champs back to back was about it was 6 weeks. So around a month and a half of just straight volleyball. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I am like completely cooked, like, after a full day of 4 games. But, if it was up to me, I would do, 3 months back to back. It's a different level of, enjoyment and work where it doesn't really feel like work. I mean, at the end of the day, lying in my bed, it does feel like work, but it's not like something that I get burnt out from. It's something that I would do, for the rest of my life.
Yeah, you just got Sol's yerba mate keeping you going all day long.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm very big on caffeine, and well, yerba is not caffeine, but mate is not caffeine. Finding those stimulants to keep myself going throughout the day. I mean, I've been getting more into it, so just finding healthier avenues to go down to make sure that I can stay around for as long as possible.
Yeah, if ever you guys are at a match and you see Josh Nekoba there, just know that he wants the white monster. Okay, just know that he's looking for the white monster.
While I was doing my swimming career at Cal Lutheran, I got a nutritionist, and they did like a DNA test, and it showed that I have a caffeine tolerance. And she told me that I need at least 400 milligrams. I need at least 400 milligrams to feel anything. So that's normally around the range. I try to limit it. I don't want to like explode my heart, but like 4 games in one day, definitely I'm on 400. Beach as well, but if it like I normally run it by feel. Like if I'm feeling awake enough, I probably won't go up to 400. But if I'm like if it's like middle of the day and I still have a full half day left, I will probably, and I'm falling asleep, I will probably hit around 400.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel you. I'm the opposite. I'm very susceptible to caffeine. So I'll have like 1 coffee a day. If I have a Red Bull, I'll have one of the little ones. And maybe like for when I was doing the beach events there, like Sol and I especially, we would always go get like a little late afternoon espresso, but I would only do 1 shot because espresso has less caffeine in it than just strip coffee. So yeah, I just use, I'm very ADHD, so I just use my Vyvanse to keep me going. You should look into that, Josh. Getting nice little ADHD, getting Vyvanse.
Don't get me wrong, Red. I'm on that. I'm on that. Like my brain is in 20 million places at once, and that's probably my biggest strength, but also biggest downfall at the same time. Being able to just think of cool things, but also not being able to focus because I just have so many things I'm thinking about.
Trust me, yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on that one for sure. It's like, when was it? Were you shooting anything? Were you into videography or photography before in high school, and is just something that you kind of expanded into when you were in university, college, or what was it that made you want to pick up a camera and start shooting volleyball?
Yeah, I do get asked this question a lot, and it's not a lengthy story, but I like junior year of college, senior year, I was looking into, actually it was junior year of college. I was looking to getting into live streaming video games. Valorant was the game I played, and I was like, I think I can on Twitch, yes, on Twitch with OBS, and I was in that mindset where I was like, I kind of I got a solid personality. I think I could, talk to myself for, hours on end and also play video games. Being an athlete, I was competitive. So I got a camera, a Sony A6 100 to live stream as a face cam, to live stream. And then my sister was playing in the AAU champs that year in Florida, and my dad wanted me to come to watch. So I brought the camera just for fun. I was like, it doesn't hurt to bring it. So I brought it out and took maybe 9,000 photos while I was there. I edited none of them. I have this FOMO. I had FOMO where it's like, if I'm not shooting on the highest burst rate, I'm going to miss something. So I was just going crazy shooting everything. But then I got back and edited none of it because it's 9,000 photos. And in my head, I was like, that's way too much. So from there, I reached out to the sports information director at Cal Lutheran because I was like, what, I think I want to try and, I had a lot of fun shooting. So I wanted to try shooting for Cal Lutheran. And the SID at Cal Lutheran said, hey, look, we'd love to have you on board. I'm just letting you know, we currently already have 2 student photographers and we've already scheduled them for the year. This was going into my senior year. And I was like, oh, shoot, okay. What if I do video? Actually, I don't even think I thought of that. I think I just showed up to a water polo match and just started shooting video and had a blast with that. And then from there, they saw that I was doing video and they're like, hey, if you want to do video, like we don't have anyone doing video, so we can sign you up for every sport, you know. And I was like, okay. So that year, 2022, I shot every sport at Cal Lutheran because they were like, we can't only have you on a few sports because that's not fair for the rest of the department. So we'd like you to shoot every sport. And I was like, all right, sure, I'll do it. Because I was having a lot of fun.
Were you getting paid at least?
Yes, I was getting paid.
Okay.
I was getting paid. It wasn't a crazy amount, but you know, it was something. And that also motivated me to keep going out. Like, you know, if I'm getting paid, that makes sense. So I ended up shooting every sport that year. And at the beginning of 23, I had a friend who was playing on the University of Hawaii men's volleyball team. And Cal Lutheran is in Thousand Oaks. And my friend posted on his story that day that he was playing in Santa Barbara. And I was like, oh, you know, that's only hour and a half drive. Like, I'm going to go. And I saw his post at 2 p.m. and I go to the Hawaii website and it says they're playing at 4 p.m. And I was like, okay, if I leave right now, I should make it to the game. And I was living with my girlfriend at the time and I was like, she was taking a nap. She was sleeping. So I woke her up and I was like, oh, let's go. Like, I'm going to go to this game. Do you want to come? And she's like, yeah, okay, I'll come. But it took her a little while to get ready. So by the time we left, it was already like 3:00. So we get to Santa Barbara. It's 4:30. I'm like, man, I'm already late. This is my first time shooting a Division I volleyball game. I'm already late. It's 4:30. I go to the gym and there's no one there. And I'm like, what the fuck? Where's everyone? Am I in the wrong spot? And I see a Santa Barbara player walk in. I'm like, hey, are you guys playing today? And he's like, yeah, but we're playing at 7. And I was like, what? What happened was the Hawaii website had it in Hawaii time. So it was 3 hours ahead. So I wasn't late to that game. I ended up shooting that game. The assistant coach and the head coach at the time was Milan Zarkovic and Charlie Wade. And I had played for their club team growing up. And Milan Zarkovic is probably one of the best people I've ever met. I hadn't seen him in like 4 years and I wasn't on his team, but I played for his club that he coached, but he had remembered my name. And when I walked into the gym, he was like, Josh! And it was a crazy feeling. He gave me a big hug and it was super cool to see them. But yeah, I started, you know, shooting warm-ups and I was talking with some of the players. Guilherme Voss, he saw me filming and was like, oh, this is so cool, man. We don't have, like, no one films our games. Like, the only person who films NCAA is, you know, Holly and Olivia, but they only film for Long Beach, so nobody else gets any attention. And I was like, oh, wow, this is crazy, man. Like, you know, growing up, I idolized these University of Hawaii players. I didn't realize that, you know, they were just college kids.
Yeah.
So they were just a college kid like myself, which I thought was really cool. So I ended up shooting that game. And then, yeah, from there, the rest is history because, like, after hearing that from those players, I was like, you know, if these guys are saying that, then it must be just as easy to get into UCLA, a USC game, any other D1, you know, game. And, you know, I had a lot of fun at that Santa Barbara game. So, yeah, I just ended up going to as many games as possible that year. And then Hawaii ended up making the national championship. So I had established a pretty solid relationship with their SID and ended up going to nationals with them. But yeah, I mean, the rest is pretty much history. I just kind of went out to as much as I could. And yeah, that's kind of how it snowballed for me.
I've always found that, like, in volleyball specifically, because there's just such a lack of media, you know, there's such a lack of attention. There's a lack of these people that do these things, that as soon as you start doing it, that the people are so appreciative, you know, like it's crazy how, you know, for me, it was a little bit similar, albeit a decade before. I remember being in the photo, you know, I'm aging myself here a little bit, but I remember being in the photo pit of the World Series of Beach Volleyball in Long Beach in like 2013 or 14. You know, I had like my like Nikon camera with, you know, like the stock lens, and I'm looking around and all of these like big name photographers Ed Chan, rest in peace, was there, and Mark Rigney, and a bunch of the other guys. They're all rocking, the Canons with the the gray lenses, and I was just like, I can't compete with this. So I was like, well, let's just go to video and see what this does. And I had like a dinky little camcorder that we shot our podcast with, and started doing videos on that. And it literally got me my Cam and my old partner and I hired the following year to do all the digital media for the World Series of Beach Volleyball, just because no one was doing video, and the players were so appreciative of it to have some video of their matches to be able to show and share and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of my biggest reason for really niching into just volleyball. I mean, it's just the community is so welcoming, and it's a small community, so it's easy to get around and meet people, but also see the same people, which I think is really cool. But yeah, Keone Thim was actually asking me that one day when I was in Hawaii filming the team. We were just kind of hanging out, and he was like, "Hey man, like, why don't you go and shoot like NFL or NBA? Like, you could probably make so much more money shooting an event like a sport like that." And I was like, I mean, yes, there's more opportunity, but there's also more competition. And also, I don't feel like I wouldn't feel like I'm making a difference. Like, I feel like with volleyball, it's still at a point where I really feel like I can have an impact in, getting more people to watch the sport, and helping feeling like being a part of the growth of the sport, which was big for me, or which is still big for me.
I mean, I definitely think you have been. I've seen it firsthand how people in the crowd recognize you just as much, if not more, than some of the players, right? Like, it seems that every time you're at a gym, you're reposting someone being like, "Oh shit, there's Nekoba," and they're pointing you out and stuff like that. Do you have a ballpark of how many views you've done?
Ballpark, my gondola is, I've kind of broken my gondola. So Gondola is a website where you can track your views across social media platforms. Okay. It's more so made for creators who don't get tagged in posts, so they can like credit themselves and track their metrics. Last time I was on my gondola, it was at like 270 million views.
I feel like that's low. But truly, like, because I was just scrolling through your Instagram, and like, you have so many clips that have gone mega viral, and that doesn't even count, the clips that have just been posted for like Volleyball World or like Nations League and stuff like that. Like,
well, that doesn't account for the posts. That's only for posts that I made, not the ones on Volleyball World.
Yeah, exactly.
Or any other account. Yeah. Those are just Nekoba Visuals views.
Exactly. So if it's just like, if Nekoba Visuals is at 200 million, like, you're probably over 500 million. Sorry. Definitely, yeah, man. I'm sure you have singular posts that are over 5 million. So
yeah, and I mean, for my little potato brain, like, comprehending that number is like hard. It's so difficult, especially like even like followers. Just like, even when I hit 10,000 followers, like my potato brain trying to comprehend what 10,000 people hitting that follow button means is astronomical. I mean, yeah, it's so hard for me to comprehend what that means, but I do my best to show the love back to the fans, and try and give everyone as much time as possible when they see me around and they come and say hi. I try and interact with them, because like, when I idolize people, and when they actually take the time out of their day to respond to me and talk to me, it meant a lot to me. So it still means a lot to me. So I try to give back and do that as well whenever someone takes the time to recognize me and come up and say hi. I try to spend as much time interacting with them as possible, and showing as much appreciation back to them, because social media has helped me a lot in terms of trying to accomplish my goals. So I owe it all to my followers.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's so rewarding to know that you're making an impact on that level. Now, I know that you went to college for something, wasn't it like music management?
So I got my bachelor's degree in music production, and I got my master's. This is my favorite thing. I got a master's of science. So normally when I talk to people, I leave it at that. I got a master of science. I got an MS.
Wow.
My favorite joke is I've mastered science, but I got an MS in music industry. So I was applying my senior year because I still had 2 years of eligibility for swimming, and
Mm-hmm.
wasn't completely sure if I wanted to continue the swim career. This was like towards the end of my junior year, but I had a lot of extracurriculars and I had a lot of fun. Put on a music festival at Cal Lutheran and had a lot of fun putting that together and planning that. So I applied to NYU and USC because they both had swim programs and they both had music business programs for masters. So
Wow.
NYU
Bro,
rejected me.
but imagine if you had gone to NYU though, like that would have had changed everything. That would have
Oh,
changed your entire
100%.
trajectory. Because you wouldn't
Exactly.
like
I mean,
there's no volleyball in New York City.
there's a little
Not to
bit.
that not to that
Not the
extent
same
though.
level as California, but there is.
No, definitely not.
But yeah, I mean, that was kind of the reason why I had applied. My girlfriend wasn't like super keen on going to New York, but I wasn't ever planning on living in New York. I think I would have gone for the 2 years of the program and left, but I think it would have been a cool experience just
For
to
sure.
have lived in New York. But I mean, things worked out the way they did, and I don't regret what happened. Also, NYU rejected me, so
Hey,
that kind of made that made the decision easy for me. But I mean, by the time I was getting the letters from schools, USC actually waitlisted me, so I kind of read that as rejected as well, and I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm not doing this. Um, but then, yeah, when USC sent me the acceptance letter, I kind of didn't really believe it until I walked on campus and they gave me my student ID. And then I was like, okay, this is real. But I'm very fortunate where my grandparents offered to cover the cost of school for me, which is why I ended up doing it because it's good to have the education in my back pocket in case this, goes belly up. But, I'm doing everything in my power to make sure that this doesn't go belly up. So,
I mean, but also at this point, because like you've got other business ventures and stuff like that you're getting into, which we will talk about in a little bit as well. But you've already done so much that I don't know if that piece of paper is nice to have, compared to what you've already done.
Yeah, but also like something that my dad likes to say as well is it's good to just have that alumni network.
True.
I mean, it's bigger. I think. I mean, it's big, especially with the Punahou alumni network. Like, I eventually want to move back to Hawaii, but having that, it's not so much. I guess the education is huge as well, but also having that connection where it's like, oh yeah, I also went to Punahou, or oh yeah, I also went to USC. So that's always really big. I mean, Cal Lutheran as well. Shout out Cal Lutheran. I'm not trying to say that I don't have connections. I actually use that. The SID for UCLA women's volleyball is actually a Cal Lutheran alum. So I use that as my way to, open that conversation with him. Like, oh, hey, cool. I just noticed on your LinkedIn that it was either his LinkedIn or his UCLA profile that he had graduated from Cal Lutheran. I was like, oh yeah, I'm also a Cal Lu grad. So,
yeah, that's fair. I mean, Punahou is it's definitely the most famous men's volleyball school in the United States. And I mean, this is coming from someone who's not American. Growing up and watching YouTube and the limited stuff on volleyball, like, volleyball YouTube, especially back in the 2000s, once again, aging myself, like, Punahou is one of the most notable volleyball schools out there, but it's crazy to think, like, if you're to look at the volleyball alumni of the people who have gone to the schools, like the Shojis went there. Did the Crabs go there as well?
Yes, I'm pretty sure the Crabs went there. And the McKibbins.
And I knew the McKibbins went there as well. And like, it goes on. And now you're kind of cementing yourself in terms of the elite Punahou grads as well. And the Punahou alum, is that something that, you ever think of, that despite never having really played the sport at that level, or even for their high school team, that you are one of their more recognizable volleyball alums?
I mean, I think it's not as noticeable because I don't play. People don't really know that I went to Punahou. It's not like super crazy info. Like, people are still surprised when I tell them that that's where I went. But I mean, yeah, it's just insane. It's insane to think how far this has come within the last, 3 years, honestly. Like, it's just insane how exponential the growth has been, and the experiences I've had. I mean, if you tell me 4 years ago this is where I would be and this is what I'd be doing, 100% I wouldn't believe you. I mean, maybe I would have, because I was crazy. I was crazy into I wouldn't say crazy.
You,
I was
you've
delusional.
got to be. Yeah. I mean, you've got to be delusional to be able to think like, yeah, I'm going to go into volleyball business, because that is a path that anyone does, and is anyone successful in, like, by any way, by any metric at all.
Yeah, I think like coming into college, I wanted to be like a DJ. I wanted to be a DJ. I wanted to be on tour, touring around, playing at all these cool festivals like Tomorrowland.
Have
Yeah.
you produced music? Like, do you have a hard drive somewhere where with, like, Josh Nekoba specials, like,
I have a no, a SoundCloud. I have a SoundCloud with a couple songs.
Ooh.
It's mainly from like high school. I didn't really post much or produce much in college. I think for me, I grew up playing sports and I never really played any instruments growing up. So all my peers had instrument experience. So like they could sit down and just like either jam out on the piano or like hit some nasty riff on the guitar. And, I'm just sitting here like pushing buttons, just trying to make things work. I think that's kind of really what redirected me as well out of like producing itself is, I really enjoy listening to music and, dissecting music. But when it comes to creating it, my brain is just not there when it comes to creating it. But I do have a few songs on SoundCloud.
You gonna drop the at?
I would, but honestly, I don't. My account is so small. Like, I think it was just like Josh. I have to like find but I made this song in high school about swim practice and how it feels like I'm on a cactus, and my swim coach would always play it like on the big speaker at practice every once in a while.
Oh my God. Yeah.
But yes, there is a SoundCloud account out there that I posted on. I don't have any shame in it. I would share it, but I have to find it. I don't even know where it is right now.
All right. Sounds good. I mean, we need to get you like on a track with Kofi or something. That would be elite. Kofi produced by Josh. You can go by Nekoba for videography, and you can go by just Josh for your music career.
All right. I like it.
Honestly, like, I've always thought about wanting to be a DJ as well. Like, I actually did play instruments very mediocrely, I will admit, growing up. And I was always like, yeah, I think I could be a DJ. It's oftentimes some of the most difficult things about making video clips is finding music, right? And then it's depending on, like, do we have rights to be able to play this music? Like, can I post it on Instagram? Can I post it on TikTok? Like, what's the legality of all that, especially for YouTube videos as well? Like, making YouTube videos and then you use a popular song and then all of a sudden, like, it's demonetized. So I've always had that fantasy of creating like an alter ego DJ and having like a SoundCloud account and just making it look like I had a relationship with the DJ, but in fact it was just me behind the scenes, but much like you, that's just my ADHD brain wanting to do a million things at once and doing one or two of them.
Gotta love it.
Yeah, you got it. But, like, from pushing buttons on, like, a DJ pad to pushing buttons on a camera, obviously, I think you made the right choice. But, like, speaking of cameras and stuff like that, I wanted to ask you, what do you think your most important piece of gear is?
My most important piece of gear?
Yeah.
Probably my Sony FX3. Yeah.
Okay.
My Sony FX3. Most important piece of gear.
Got to drop that for the clout. Now, how important do you think is the quality of your gear?
Yeah, I mean, when I originally started, I was worried in my first few years of shooting. Well, okay, it's only been a few years, but
yeah,
when I first started shooting, when I went to shoot that Santa Barbara game, I'm not sure if I was on my A7 IV or my FX3. I think I was on an A7 IV when I shot the Santa Barbara game, but I think shortly there and after I got an FX3 because shooting 4K, I think the biggest thing about the Sony FX3 is it checks all the boxes for me. I can shoot 4K, 120 frames per second, and also record audio. And the audio is connected to the video. So the FX6, which is the more expensive model, you can shoot 4K 120, but the audio is printed in a separate file. It's exported in a separate file. So you have to like realign it. Which is weird. I don't know why it's different, but I know it's not as simple as the FX3. The form factor is also super nice. Actually, I have it sitting over here. actually have it sitting over here for viewers at home who have never seen FX3. Shout out to Sticker. Yeah, also the form factor is really nice. It's small and, easy to travel with. But it's a beast when it comes to, shooting videos. And I used to think that it was a huge piece of what made me so good. But then I think as I start to see like how other people shoot, like other people have their own different styles, and I think that kind of made me feel more comfortable and being able to be recognized by other people. I'm just like, oh yeah, I know that's a Nekoba visuals clip just by looking at it. So But I still a huge piece of my kit. I know photographers and people hate it when people say like, "Oh, your camera takes such nice photos or videos." But I mean, man, this FX3 makes my life so much easier.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that, but at the same time, it does have to come down to, it's still a tool and you are using it, right? Because
Yeah,
I
I
would
mean,
definitely
for
say
sure.
like I've seen, like, for example, I've seen, when there's like AI clips on TikTok and it will just have like random clips. Like I've seen AI clips of like, those Reddit stories, and they've used like your clips or Holly's clips, and I'll be like, I know that clip, and I know that's a Josh Nekoba clip, right? Or like I've seen that clip, and I know that's a Holly Wong clip just by the way you shoot volleyball, right? And there is a reason why you're able to go so damn viral. And like you said, there's plenty of other people out there with FX3s who are shooting who aren't able to do, the same level of stuff that you are.
Yeah, but I mean, by me saying that, it's not like trying to put anyone down over it, but it's just like, people have different
No, no,
styles. And
not at
I feel
all.
like the way that I shoot and the way that my brain works has just always been so straightforward to me. I never really thought really deeply about the process, but the more I think about it, the more complex I see the process getting. I mean, I don't want to say that it's like super complex and difficult what I do, but there's a level to it. It's not like anyone can just pick up a camera. And I mean, that's kind of what I did. I just kind of picked up the camera. That's kind of what was the biggest stressor for me starting out, is like, hey, I need to start taking as much advantage of this opportunity as possible, because soon there's going to be more people trying to do it, and being able to put myself in a spot in the industry where, I can keep doing this for as long as possible. But yeah. But at the same time, now that I am at the position I am, I do see a ton of value in having more people. Now that I am where I'm at, it seeing more people on the scene and having more people out shooting, because like I said, there could be 3 games on one night where it's like all high level matches, and I can only be at one. But yeah, being able to see more people out there shooting, also through during my growth period, or I mean, I'm still growing, but during my early growth period, a lot of like niche technical things that I learned were through just DMing people on Instagram. So I try to be as open of a book as possible whenever people message me on Instagram in terms of like asking questions about shooting, because I don't want to be in the position I'm in just because I know a few things that other people don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I want it just to be because of my work and my talent. Okay, not so much talent, but just of my work. I want it to be
No, you could
because of
say
my work.
talent. Like,
I'm not trying to gas myself up too much, though, man.
okay, then I will gas you up because you have that talent. Like, once again, I spent a decade going to events with a camera in hand and shooting stuff. I mean, the appetite for video was way different in the 2010s than it was in the 2020s, of course. But once again, like, I started seeing your stuff, like you and Frito and like Holly Wong, like those are the main 3, where each of you have like Holly's edits are incredible. Frito shoots like art stuff, like he gets like feeling and emotion, whereas like you shoot like the best viral clips. Like the 3 of you all do things a little bit differently and all have your kind of niches. But then I've like looked at that compared to what I've done. I do think, I will say, I did do 20 million views overall for Beach Volleyball World last year when I was on the beach tour with an iPhone. So I do think that shooting with an iPhone, I'm one of the best. But like in terms of level of complexity, it's just because I can follow the game quick enough, and thank God it shoots at 120 frames a second. But other than that, like I'm not keeping things in focus like you are and doing all of that stuff, but you do have talent. Okay, you have an
Thank you. I
immense amount of
appreciate that.
talent.
I
So
appreciate that a lot.
I don't want you to sit here and try to gaslight me and tell me that you don't, because
Yeah, but I
there's
mean, also, I don't want people to look down on iPhone shooting. I think when it comes to starting out on a budget, I feel like if you are under like $2,700 in your budget, you're better off just getting the newest iPhone because the new iPhone camera qualities. Okay, I've never shot anything outside of an iPhone, so I'm not trying to gas up Apple here, but but the new iPhones, the camera is insane. If anyone out there is like trying to get into it and or unsure and doesn't want to spend a fortune on a camera, the newest iPhone or whatever iPhone you have, honestly, and just trying to like get the basics down because
Mhm.
if you can shoot good on an iPhone, you can shoot good on a $10,000-$20,000 camera.
Absolutely.
So it's yeah, I mean it's a good place to start and explore. Start exploring and seeing if it's something you enjoy because you don't want to spend $10,000 on a camera and then you're like, oh man, this is not what I want to do.
Yeah, for sure. It helps so much in terms of like figuring out your framing, figuring out your positioning and your angles, figuring out like tracking the ball, like what to be able to focus on in those moments. Even think like the simple things like exposure and figuring out what you're trying to expose and overexpose. Like if you want to be a videographer, an iPhone is hands down the best thing to be able to start with.
Yeah, and also like you said, like you did 20 million views. Like iPhone video is probably one of the biggest competitors to, shooting, cinematic video. Like that's something that I always, get I don't want to say upset about, but I'm constantly trying to compete with those iPhone videos as well. Because having really clean video helps, but also just being in the right place at the right time is huge. Like just having like the Moni Nikolov like fake set video that came out preseason, that went absolutely ballistic on social media. And that was shot on a phone. And it wasn't even like a crazy high quality video either. It just went ballistic because the play was insane. So I mean, if you're in the right place at the right time to get the right play, like, your video will perform. Hands down.
How much of those, like you mentioned earlier, in terms of like your process and like the layers that you've built on, how much of that of being like, this is the shot I want, and this is where I want to place myself in the stands, in the crowd, and around, and how much when you arrive to a new gym and a new venue is you immediately scoping out, okay, these are the sight lines, and these are going to be able to where I'm going to be, and stuff like that to be able to get the shots that I want.
I mean, that's pretty much all I'm doing when I show up to a new venue because that is a huge part of what makes the videos work is just your location and also the lenses you're using. I like to shoot from the stands a lot as well because a lot of the times getting on the court can be difficult. Yeah, shooting, I think the biggest thing that I'm keeping in my mind is where can I go when it's full of people and not be in anyone's way.
Mm-hmm.
So like stairways, like the stairways on the end of the bleachers are probably the best like shooting spots for me because most of the time, like at the end of the bleachers, when there's a stairway, you could probably stand there and not be blocking anyone. But yeah, I mean, one of the pros, I guess, of not super full stands is, I can pretty much go anywhere in the stands because there's a lot of free space. So, I try to take what I can get in terms of that. Like for world champs, like in the earlier matches, I really tried to get as many like shots from the stands as possible. Cause like towards the end, when it started to fill up, those spots were no longer accessible because, there's people sitting or it's blocking someone. Yeah, pretty much all I do when I show up to the venue is just look for where I can shoot and also accessibility. Like how easy is it to get there? Because I try to move around at least once during the set, like towards the middle of the set, I try to move to a new location. It helps a lot with NCAA. NCAA, they still switch every set. They switch back and forth. So it helps because if I'm in one spot for the second half of a set, the next half of the next set, the other team will be on the other side. So it's pretty much like a completely new shot. But I just try and look for those angles that I can get. I think the biggest angles I try to focus on is like the pin hitter angles. So not having to pan to catch those like swings because trying to track a ball is one super like a swing. Trying to track a ball that was spiked is one super difficult, and two, it also doesn't really look super great when you're just going like this and just like panning back and forth. So I try to minimize as much panning as possible.
This is why iPhone video looks better than broadcast, right? This is why, like, if someone is in the stands just shooting with an iPhone video from the baseline, and like even if the better, the closer they are to the floor, the better, it looks better than broadcast. Because on broadcast, we do the stupid hockey, football, soccer, basketball sideline camera, and it's always panning. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like it shouldn't be the case. Like trying not to pan as much as possible should be your biggest thing as a videographer, in my opinion, especially in volleyball, because there's no way that you're going to be able to track a ball that's getting hit 120 kilometers an hour. It's just impossible. It's moving 3 meters at 120 kilometers an hour. You're not going to be able to track it. Like, I don't care how good of a videographer you think you are. You will never be able to track it.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even. I mean, like, even if you pan to try and track it, like if you have motion blur or no motion blur, like you're still not gonna see it just because of how, like you said, how fast it's going. Like I just stopped even trying for those shots. Unless it's like a tip or like a roll shot. But like trying to catch the ball moving that fast is, pretty close to impossible. I mean, it's not, I wouldn't say impossible, but even if you do catch it, it still doesn't look very great, is what I found on social media.
Yeah. The best thing to be able to do is like zoom out. Like if you zoomed on the hitter as they're hitting, and then you pull that focus back and open up the aperture, then you're going to be able to zoom it out and you'll be a little bit better on it. But still, it's so frustrating to me how bad a volleyball broadcast is. I think that's honestly why your content resonates with people so much, because you can actually finally see what's going on comparing to the shit we have to watch on TV and on live streams.
Yeah.
Like I know that you've watched literally every important volleyball game in the past year, sit in front row and through the lens of your camera. So you don't watch volleyball on TV, but for the rest of us, it's a terrible experience.
It's something that I definitely do want to do more of, just to be able to, know athletes better and their tendencies and understand better, like, positioning. But yeah, I don't really watch much volleyball. I don't really watch much sports in general, which I feel is kind of crazy. I mean, but yeah, I do love sitting courtside and being able to watch the game from the court, but I've just never been able to get into watching the streams.
I won't get into it because my fans already know how I feel about watching volleyball. And I watch more volleyball than literally probably anyone in the world. So yeah, I'm volleyball broadcast's #1 hater. Don't get me wrong. But how often, do you find yourself just kind of like looking around and pinching yourself and being like, shit, like, I'm here right now and I get to experience this like firsthand, and I get to be here. Like, I'm sure in the Philippines in those later matches when, the place is absolutely packed, it must have been something else to be there.
All the time, man. It's like it still happens to me. Like, I've never really fully sunken into it yet. Like, it's still like absolutely insane. Like in Thailand, we were doing a video with the Japanese team and the coach. So we were filming their practice, and I was just standing there with Seoul, and I was like, this is insane, man. Like, I'm in Thailand right now watching the Japanese national team practice in this gym at World Championships. Like, this is an insane experience, man. It's just, yeah. I still feel, still very starstruck to be in these gyms and be able to watch these athletes compete. And it still feels like a new experience to me every day.
Yeah, I am jealous. I am jealous that you've been able to get to do all this thing. There was a few times, over World Champs where I would see you in the crowd and I'd be like, what I would give to be there with Nekoba right now. And Seoul too. I miss Seoul quite a bit. What, like, now that you've been to all these places, where has been your favorite place to shoot volleyball? What have been some of the favorite gyms that you've been in, or beaches?
Favorite place to shoot volleyball, Cape Town. I'm not like a huge beach guy. I'm still like, it's crazy. I'm still learning beach rules, like the block touch. What? I think like a few months ago, I think in Cape Town, I actually learned that a block touch was counted as a touch.
You're Hawaiian, bro. Or wait, you're from Hawaii. Sorry.
But I never played beach. I think that was my biggest downfall when it came to playing, was my passing was just so garbage that I could just never, and I was an outside hitter. and my passing wasn't very great. I couldn't be a middle blocker to save my life. I probably twisted my ankle 3 times playing middle blocker. So outside was what I played, but I sucked at passing. And I think if I had played beach volleyball growing up, I probably would have been a more well-rounded player, and I probably would have played longer. But I never really played beach. I've been an indoor guy my whole life. But
that's crazy to me.
yeah, but in terms of
you're from Hawaii, that the beach is right there. You know, I'm Canadian. I played beach volleyball growing up. Like, come on, bro.
Yeah, I never really. Well, yeah. I mean, I think also too, like I grew up playing a lot of video games. So if I wasn't at swim practice or volleyball practice, I was on COD on my Xbox at home playing video games.
You're a first-person shooter type guy?
Yes, very much so.
It's like COD your number one, or you're more like a Valorant, or like, you know, I guess League isn't a first-person shooter. Like,
I mean, I grew up playing. I mean, I don't want to say grew up. I started playing COD in middle school, and pretty much that's what I played. I played a lot of Black Ops Zombies. That was that's probably one of my favorite games. Black Ops 2 Zombies. Classic. I clocked so many hours on Black Ops 2 Zombies. There was like 2 summers where I would wake up. I would either go to morning swim practice, or I would get on Black Ops and play until afternoon swim practice, and then come home and play until I went to sleep. I was addicted to that game. And that's probably why I didn't get any touches on the beach, is because, you know, me and my friends just played video games.
You got to be outside, you know, you got to be outside in the sun to be able to play at the beach.
Well, the problem was, or I wouldn't say that it was a problem, but like being a swimmer, I still had a nice tan because I was swimming and in the sun. Well, Hawaii only really has outdoor pools, so I would practice in the sun and get that nice Hawaii tan.
Yeah, okay, I guess that's fair, because for me, when I think of swimming, like my friends who grew up as swimmers growing up, very different situation here in Canada. Very, very just a different situation. You know, there's only a few months of the year that you can be swimming outside. So I guess swimming outside in Hawaii, where the weather is always nice and warm. Like, what is the lowest temperature you ever experienced in Hawaii?
I mean, I'm gonna use it in Fahrenheit. Mean,
give us those freedom units.
Freedom metrics. We rarely saw anything below 65 degrees.
Oh,
and when we get under 70, that's when it's degrees. Like, yeah, I gotta put a jacket on. It's kind of cold.
Goodness, but like, gracious,
I never, like, my girlfriend checks the weather a lot and to like decide what she's gonna wear. But like growing up, checking the weather was never something that I ever considered. I just kind of threw my clothes on, and if it rained, it rained. I got a little wet, but the rain in Hawaii is nice where it's not cold. I mean, it isn't great to be soaking wet, but I mean, the weather there is just so perfect that, you know, if it's raining, you just got to sit under cover for maybe 10 minutes and the rain will go away. And it'll be a clear sky as well. So, very fortunate to have grown up in Hawaii, yeah.
So just reference for you, it is currently minus 13 degrees in Toronto at the moment, like if I was to go outside. And that is 8 degrees Fahrenheit.
That is, that doesn't sound like a great time.
You know what? It makes you it makes you hardy, okay? It makes you a hardier person. I actually kind of like the cold a little bit. Once again, like there was always this running joke, because there was a few years where the beach majors, back when we've gone through so many brand changes of the beach tour. Don't even get me started, but they always had this event in Florida. There was a 5-star major in Florida, and it was like a running joke, and Casey Patterson used to make fun of me every year because I would go down and just get absolutely burnt to a crisp on the first day, because I'd be going from, you know, no vitamin D and never seeing the sun in Canada to going down to the beaches of Florida, you know, no money. So we'd like leave early in the morning, get off the plane and go straight to the beach to start getting content. And I would just get absolutely roasted because the skin was not ready for it.
Yeah, the sun is nice. Being in the sun is nice.
But like, was it Cape Town just because you were like sitting underneath like the big mountain there and you had the whole entire backdrop and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even realize this also till I got to Cape Town, but the Table Mountain Range in Cape Town is one of the 7 wonders of the world, which I didn't even know.
Really?
Yeah, Table Mountain Range, I think is what it's called, is one of the 7 wonders.
7 natural wonders?
7 wonders of the world. Let me look it up right now. 7 wonders of the world. I'm not seeing it. I think I'm looking on something wrong. But yeah, I mean that's what they were telling me is the Table Mountain Range was one of the seven natural wonders of the world. I don't know, but it's
No,
something like
I'm
that.
not seeing
And
that either.
but the yeah, just shooting at that mountain range, shooting with that mountain range in the background, just it's so crazy. I mean that I got hit a lot with that. Like I can't believe I'm here right now. So
That was me
much
in
there.
Rio. Like
Yeah,
in Rio, like if you ever get a chance to shoot beach tour in Rio, like especially when they do it down in Copacabana, and you're like on one angle you're shooting, and you have like you literally have it's like you literally get two of the actual like seven wonders of the world because you have the Christ on one side, and you can literally like zoom into the Christ, pan out, and there's the court. Like I have shots doing that, and on the other side you have Sugarloaf Mountain, and it is incredible. Like Rio is, you have to go to Rio. As like it gets old to make it happen for you.
and okay, and then for indoor, I think for indoor, I think it's the one that was in Quebec, the venue this year in Quebec. That was
Let's go,
probably
siatkowka. Shout out.
yeah, that one was probably my favorite indoor venue, just in terms of like size. It was just so like astronomically massive, and there was so much space in there. And then I think in terms of like fans showing up, I think my favorite is probably Wooge.
Would yeah.
It's an insane experience to see that full of a home Poland crowd just going absolutely ballistic with their chants. And that out of all the places that I've been, yeah, I mean I've been to Wooge twice now, so I guess that helps as well. Yeah, Wooge definitely up there for fan experience in terms of just seeing all the people out there.
Yeah, Quebec. I mean, obviously, I've never been to Village, but Quebec City was really special. Like Quebec is one of the places for me that I've done volleyball. I think 5 times, and every single time it's been so impactful and so much fun. I love everything that Gilles Lepine has done there and bringing to that event. I wish I would have been able to shoot video at it, but I wasn't allowed. But that's another conversation altogether. But yeah, I'm stoked. I'm stoked you enjoyed your time in Quebec City. I even got you to try poutine while you were there.
Yes, and I had it a lot. I did enjoy it a lot often. I think after my first time, I think we had some in Ottawa.
Yeah, I took you. Yeah, and that Dutch.
We went to some bar and got it at some bar.
Yeah, you Sol and the Dutch photographer. His name is blanking on me right now. Pim. Yes, lovely dude. Yeah. So I mean, hey, hopefully you'll be able to come back because VNL will be back in both Ottawa and Quebec City this year. So maybe we'll get to see you again. Although I might not be allowed to come back, so who knows?
I guess we'll see. Hopefully, I mean, the schedule hasn't come out yet in terms of what I'm working for VNL, but hopefully it will be out soon. But I think they're moving more towards keeping shooters local. And I think since Canada is in somewhat of my neck of the woods, I think fingers crossed. I guess we'll see what happens. I'm hoping. I would love to come back to Canada again. Staff was great. I loved working with all the Canada volleyball staff there. Had a lot of fun there. And I mean, a lot of the event ops team for Volleyball World is Canadian.
Bro, it's so wild. Like when I was working for Volleyball World, and every event it'd be like, "Oh, you're from Toronto too. You're from Toronto too." What's even wilder is that they're all like dance and theater people, and my partner is a dancer. So I have literally like there's people that I worked with for Volleyball World who I have hooked up with like stage managers and stuff like that here in Toronto for events. So it's a weird like actually after I was in Quebec City and Chicago and stuff like that, I got home and I went to our version of the Tonys, the Doras. And one of the event ops people had came up to my girlfriend because she won a bunch of awards and like congratulated her. He's like, "Wasn't I just with you?" And I was like, "Yeah." And it's like it's a crazy small world.
The Canadian mafia. But for me, it's a really cool experience because I studied music business, music industry, potato. But that was my emphasis was in live events. And VNL is run very much so like
for sure.
A touring band, a touring artist in terms of just like how the events are run. And it's cool to be able to see the back end of that and be able to experience it that way and still kind of get some of that interest that I had and be able to, ask these ops people's just questions about, how the events like run and how they're doing things and just to be able to see that end. Cause I think that's really cool and how they are able to put together and smoothly run these massive events with all these people showing up. And
Yeah, the ops people within volleyball world are people that I really grew to. And I mean, I've been an ops person before. Like that's exactly how I started working in volleyball for Volleyball Canada. But getting to see them work, and especially because the majority of them aren't volleyball people, the majority of them aren't even sport people, and yet they have a complete understanding of like what needs to happen and when, and have a full grasp on it. Those are some of the people that I recognize as being like some of the hardest working and most impressive people at the events. Like you'll never see them, you'll never hear of them unless you're within those circles, but those are some of the people who really make everything happen.
Yeah, exactly. And it's cool to be able to chat with them, grab a beer with them after the event and just, hang out with them.
They're also the people that will party the hardest. They will work the hardest and party the hardest. I can tell you that for a fact.
Yeah. Yep.
Now,
And they always plan the parties after the events as well. So that's nice that they do that.
Yeah. I mean, one of the ops people, the first event I did was in Vienna. And like on the last night, ended up at like an after hours with one of the ops guys, and it was a great time. Yeah, if you want to find out where the party's at a VNL or just any volleyball world event, talk to the ops people because they know.
Yeah.
Y'all, and it makes it even more impressive because like the next day they're working hard, and it's like I know how late you were out last night, and like when I left the bar, you were still there going hard, and so the fact that you're here like bright eyed and bushy tailed is even more impressive.
They're very strategic though about the days that they go out because they know
you gotta be.
When the huge workload is going to hit, and they don't go out the nights before the huge workloads. They'll like plan it specifically so that they can go hard and really enjoy the night. And it's always super fun being around the ops team. And yes, they party hard, but they work even harder. So great atmosphere to be around. And I really enjoy being able to see these people and travel around the world with them as well.
Yeah. Now, like, as I mentioned before, some of our earliest conversations is around like, what do we think volleyball needs to grow? And you've got to see it firsthand over the past year. You've got to be behind the scenes. You've been able to have those conversations. You've gotten to see it now. You've other than South America, you've done volleyball on every single continent this year.
Yes. I was thinking that I was going to hit all of them, but Mexico is not South America's. Despite how big my fan base is in Brazil and how close I am, I still haven't shot any in South America. But, hopefully maybe sometime soon. But yeah, South America is the only continent that I haven't been to this year, which is absolutely insane to think about. But yeah, it's been a great experience.
So what do you think volleyball needs to be able to grow? Like what do you think is missing, or, what are some of the next steps that need to happen for the sport to be able to continue growing?
Yeah. So two things that I'm really thinking. I think the biggest thing in my mind is just like developing more talent, I think is the most controllable way I feel to growing the sport. So creating more athletes like Moni Nikolov, because he came into Long Beach last year. I was watching his account. He came in with maybe 20, 30,000 followers. And now he's surpassed 500,000, and he's just absolutely going crazy with viewership, and the attention he's gaining for the sport is insane. So I think he is a prime example for me in terms of just developing talent and just having more talent being seen, and the more complex level of volleyball, and just like creating new ways to play. Not that there's anything wrong with the current ways, but just, really thinking outside of the box as an athlete and having these cool revolutionary plays that will get views. I mean, coming from, my standpoint of understanding social media and knowing what gets views, having those crazy plays definitely helps a lot. I think that's probably top of my list in terms of what I think would really grow the game. I think that's more of a long-term thing, but I think, having more talent, more crazy volleyball being played. And then I think number two is just finding more ways to develop and create more fans. I think for me, when it comes to going to these big games, people always ask me like, do you have a fate? Like, are you biased when it comes to the teams? I think when it comes to biases, I think I'm a little bit biased towards like, the US and, and Hawaii, watching those two teams play. But at the end of the day, for me, like the biggest bias for me is just wanting to see good volleyball. Like if it's a great game, if the team that I wanted to win ends up losing, at the end of the day, like, it's not ideal, but being able to just have other people experience volleyball at a high level, I think is the biggest win for me. And just what I want to see. Because then I feel like that really helps develop and create more fans. I think competing with other mainstream sports, I feel like they have a longer, deeper history behind these sports, which have really created those fans that are like diehard. So I think just finding more ways to really develop those fans, like one, having high level volleyball and just creating those experiences that they'll remember and say, hey, there's volleyball in my town again. Like, I'm gonna go and watch it and support it. And three, on a more unhinged note, is just having those more like beef moments. I love when those happen, where there's like the stare downs or those when there's more emotion on the court. I like, this is more like, I wouldn't say off record, but I feel like this is more of a controversial point. I think there's good that can come from it, but there's also bad that can come from it. But from a social media person, having those like little beefs on the court or just like the stare downs, I think as long as it's kept sportsmanlike, I think it's a good way to grow the sport as well.
One of my biggest pet peeves of volleyball is how soft we are about like how like you get a card for looking at someone. Are you kidding me? Like that's where the level is. Like you say, it's like there's a net that separates us. You know, this isn't like any other sport where you're like, face to face, you're touching the other players. Like, any other sport, this stuff, it doesn't even matter, right? Like when you hear basketball guys mic'd up or football guys mic'd up or any of that stuff, like hockey guys especially, there's so much shit talking. We can't even do shit looking in volleyball. Like, it's really like, if you land and yell through the net, you're liable to get a card. And it's just wild to me. I mean, like, it's pretty topical right now because I'm not sure if you know this, but Cooper Robinson got fined and suspended for a game for basically like in Japan, for last weekend.
Well,
like
it's Japan though. I kind of understand, but honestly, I love Cooper Robinson because of that reason. Because
me too.
My first ever clip of Cooper Robinson is him getting a nasty stuff block against USC and staring the guy down. And
love it.
And like staring the guy down and backing up from the court. And I had made the post. And I sent it to UCLA to make it because I was still pretty early at that point. And they're like, can you please take out the stare down? We can't post a stare down.
Oh my God. Why?
Okay,
that's the worst. That's the worst. Like, it's because especially as you said at the beginning, like in North America especially, there is this idea that volleyball is a girl's sport. And now I actually think like we need to lean into this because yes, it is a girl sport. It is the best girl sport out there. Like there's a reason why Nebraska is one of the biggest brands, right? Like Nebraska women's volleyball is one of the biggest brands, not only in women's volleyball, but in the NCAA as a whole, right? There's a reason that women's volleyball is the biggest played sport in North America and that there's so much money being invested into it because it's a great women's sport. But it is also a men's sport and it also goes really hard, right? And I think as people start to realize this and we stop being so damn soft, like for the longest time, the bench wasn't allowed to come onto the court and cheer. You had to stay in like the little box that you would tape out at the end of the court. And if one of your bench guys got stoked for a big block or a big dig or a big play or something, a big bounce, then, you'd toot, 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 give them the little card. It's so chintzy. I hate it. Like, especially for North Americans who love to make fun of soccer for being soft and guys diving and stuff like that. Like volleyball, we're not even allowed to look at the other team. No, don't even look at them. It's like you and your siblings are on a road trip and you're fighting in the back seat and mom's like, don't even look at them. Just stop because they're so mad about you guys fighting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's probably some reasoning behind why the thought process is like that. I've never really delved into it with a ref about like,
oh, I have.
Okay.
And it's always just like, well, if you let them look and then you let them talk and then there's going to be issues. It's like, yeah, let the boys play. Let the girls play. Like, let them talk shit. It's sports. They're out there being competitive, right? As long as they're not throwing it as long as they're not throwing punches, it should be allowed.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess that's where it gets difficult is being able to read like when it's like I at World Champs have a nice video of Gabby getting a block on Alex Nikolov, and he kind of stares him down. And then literally the next play, Alex gets like blocks Gabby and stares him down too. I mean, I don't know
I
too
love
much
it.
about the details of the relationship between those two, but I feel like watching that, it looked like they were two good friends just having fun. But I don't know exactly the details of that. But
I mean, they are like they. I think they played in the NCAA at the same time. They've definitely played in the Lega volley, at the same time. Like Gabi's been playing for Trentino, Alex has been at Lube. So, and I think they were at BYU and Long Beach at the same time. Maybe.
that was
I mean,
before my time, so I'm not sure.
there was. Oh my goodness, you're so.
I think I got some video of Alex because Alex played in the 23 national championships.
No,
Okay, no,
no.
I have no.
He was in. He would have been in the 2021 national championships or 2022 national championships.
Okay, then
One of
yeah,
the two.
he was before my time. Then I was still swimming.
Wild. Honestly, it's a little disheartening for a guy like me who's been out here doing this for like 15 years, and you just come in and you're already better than me in no time at all.
I wouldn't say I'm better than you though. I feel like you know a lot. You know way more about history and how like volleyball has been like all these players and stuff. And I come in and I have no clue like who half of these people are or anything about them. I mean, I'm doing what I can to learn as much as possible to be able to understand who these athletes are and be able to give respect and focus on the players who have been around the longest and who have the most recognition behind them. Yeah, I mean, I've just been super fortunate with social media. And I mean, Nekoba Visuals wasn't my first social media endeavor. I probably have like 6 or 7 different accounts that I tried to develop on social medias. With Nekoba Visuals, I kind of already came in with some understanding of social media. I mean, I'd been on Instagram since 2013. I ran car social media page where I would go to this auction website for luxury cars and I would take the photos, I would post the photos, and then I also had this was before AI existed in ChatGPT. I had a guy in Pakistan who would write little blurbs about these, and I would put it in the caption of the car. And I used like Canva to edit the graphics. And I ran like a investment news page. I was big into investing for a little while. I worked as an assistant to a financial advisor. So I have some. Yeah, there's a lot of different endeavors that my ADHD brain took me down, and I just kind of got super lucky with Nekoba Visuals and have stuck with it since. But yeah.
Wow. I mean, I'm a little jealous because my ADHD brain has just always thrown me into volleyball for better or for worse, and mostly for worse. So that's like I've got a one-track brain, unfortunately. And that's crazy, though. You've done so many different things and you figured out how to work out all of that stuff. Do you think that's really what, I remember having this conversation with someone and just being like Nekoba knows how to shoot and just make things go viral. Like you just know, like, was that all of that experience kind of embedded into when you started shooting volleyball?
Yeah, I mean, from the start, my goal was always to create the highest quality videos possible and also the most views as possible. I feel like that was always a huge motivation for me. It came with its pros and its cons. I mean, I was really able to develop and find what works, but also it's a huge mental hurdle to, have a lot of value placed in the likes and views on a video. But it just took some time to figure out how to get over that mental hurdle, because it's like you make a post and it way underperforms what you're expecting, and then you're kind of bummed out and it's like, man, this sucks. Like, I thought this was going to do well and it performed like garbage, versus, sometimes you'll make a post and you're like, I don't really think this will perform at all, but I'm just going to throw it up to throw it up. And then it just goes crazy on Instagram and you feel great. But yeah, I feel like a lot of where my attention and focus has been placed throughout my career is, how can I make this video look cleaner and how can I get more views on this video? Yeah. Yeah. And also I like something that I really discovered through Nekoba Visuals is just in order to really pursue a career like this, you just kind of have to find what you really like making. And I think at the end of the day, like I really enjoy creating cool videos because I myself like watching them as well. Like I probably have spent countless hours watching my own videos just over and over on repeat after I make them, just because it's like, oh man, this is such a cool shot. This athlete is, insane. And it's, so cool that I actually was there to watch this and to capture it and be able to share it. But yeah, through my countless endeavors, I think finding something that I really enjoyed, one, creating, but also viewing myself and consuming myself. I think that's what really helped me get to where I am, because, if I posted a video and I don't like it, I'll, even if it's a video I don't like, I'll watch it to see what I don't like about it. And then in the next video, I'll make sure to either shoot better or edit better so that, I can improve from the last video I made. Cause I've been doing this, I've gotten to a high point in where I am in the volleyball industry and my videography career, but I still feel like there's a lot more for me to accomplish and there's a lot more for me to learn. I still feel like I'm pretty early in my videography career. So, yeah.
I mean, you haven't even been doing it for 5 years. So you are very, you like, let's keep that into focus here. So like what's the next step then? Like where do you see yourself going on to next, or what would you like it to be, is the next step in terms of this growth?
Current next steps is, like we talked about earlier, is bull media and really developing more so on the financial end, because the last 3 years, the main focus really has been just create the coolest content possible. And that's partly from my ego, in the fact of like, I didn't want to go around asking for money. Like, hey, can you pay me for this? Can you pay me for this? Or that was never, I've been in a very good position, very fortunate position with my family. They've been supporting me a lot through this, especially while I was still a student. They helped me out a lot. So financially, it's never really been a problem to focus on, which I've been fortunate. But this year is 2026. A big focus for me is going to be finding out how to make this work financially, because, being very lucky with Volleyball World this year, that pretty much carried me through the year. This was my first year being completely out on my own in terms of no school. I graduated USC last December, so we're coming up on a full year of like fully being on my own and just trying to make this work as an adult, which is crazy.
You know where we were 1 year ago? We were in Qatar together.
Yeah, that's
like one year ago. We were doing Beach World Tour finals in Qatar and riding camels and stuff.
Qatar was a trip, man. Qatar was crazy. I mean, fan viewership there was absolutely the worst, but it was a crazy experience just to be there. And that was, I think, my third trip for Volleyball World. And I think
was the first one when we were in Dallas and they had like kind of invited you out and not really, and then you just ended up showing up on a whim. Yep. And getting able, and in Arlington.
Arlington was a trip, man. Arlington was a trip in what was that? Was that last
May.
year? That was last year.
Last May. Yeah,
in 24, man. Arlington was a trip, man. I mean, yeah. So that was my first experience, and ever since then, that's when I've kind of really been on this like trying to learn all the international players and get more into, because I think there was my first experience watching two teams communicate in different languages. So it's like they don't even have to hide what they're saying because they're speaking in two completely different languages, and the other team won't even understand what they're saying because they're just speaking in their own native language. And it was just so cool to see, these two different groups of people compete against each other. And it was just a really cool experience in Arlington. But yes, it was a bumpy ride to get there, but we got there, so that's all that matters. That's all that matters. We figured it out, and here we are.
Well, I'm happy. I'm happy for you. It's been a fun trip to be able to watch along the way. What was the second event?
The second event, I went to men's final in Wuj that year.
Yes. Okay. Now I remember that. Yeah.
That was an insane second event as well, because coming off of Arlington, I mean, in-person viewership was rough, but going to Poland and seeing a 14,000 fan stadium packed with Polish people wearing red and white, just like screaming their chants and screaming like monster block, was an insane experience as well. And just the fan coordination was crazy. And to watch the men's team compete, like, I feel like men's and women's volleyball are they're the same sport, but they're different, because I feel like
very different. Yeah.
Men's is more like testosterone based. Like who can
Yeah.
jump the highest and who can bounce the hardest.
Yeah.
Versus
It's
I
all
feel like
that first side out.
yeah. And then women's volleyball is more like technical, like who is more like who can play the game better, I feel like.
Yeah, I fully agree. Like women's volleyball, they're not jumping as high, they're not hitting as hard. However, there's so much more to the game. Like it's so much more technical and tactical because you're not just relying on that first ball side out. You're not just relying on that first big serve. It's, how can we run those offenses to be able to open up gaps in the block and, give us a light on the floor to be able to swing away at? Like, how do we, mitigate their offense the best with our blocking and our defense? That's honestly why I think that women's volleyball is the best women's sport out there, because it's truly distinctive from the men's version of the sport. And there's two very different versions of the sport, whether you're playing men's or women's, where I haven't really found that in other major women's sports, whether it's like basketball, soccer, or hockey.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like I said earlier, sports is not really something I consume too much outside of social media. Like I do see a lot on social media, but like in terms of like sitting down and fully watching a sports game, that hasn't happened too often in my life. But I do want to get more into watching the streams though, because I think it's great. Like being able to sit on the court and watch these games is great, but like when I'm filming, I'm more focused on like framing and the shot and positioning and what's going on versus like actually being able to sit back and enjoy the game. Not that I don't enjoy what I'm doing, but like, I think Frito said it best. Like sometimes when he's shooting, he'll look up and the game will be like a full set will be over and he'll be like, where did that set go? That's pretty much what happens, where it's like my face is so in my camera during the game that I'm not actually able to really enjoy the game.
Yeah, fully, for sure. I mean, that was one of my big things when I was on like shooting just even via my iPhone on the beach tour last year, was forcing myself to have to look up at the screen between plays and not just like looking at the phone and trying to decide where I am, because like for me, I like shooting most of the match from the baseline because you can get the majority of the match. Like you can film both sides way easier. But at the end of the match, I generally want to be on the sideline because the sideline is where you're going to be able to get more emotion. The sideline is where you're going to be able to capture more of their faces and their reactions and stuff like that. And I also want to be on the side of the winning team, which, it could be changed point to point. Like I have fond memories of when I was in Germany, I sprained my ankle on the first day. And I was in a boot for like 2 weeks after I came home from the Hamburg event. I sprained my ankle, I forgot my adapter for my plug. And so the first thing I did when I arrived in Germany, and the event hadn't started yet, was jump on one of the scooters, go downtown in Hamburg and buy myself an adapter. And on the way back, I was on the bike path and some old couple stepped onto the bike path and it was either hit them or bailed. And I bailed and sprained my ankle. And so I remember having to run in between. And I still remember at one point running and Frito's at the end and he's making fun of me, doing this motion because I'm limping as I'm going beside. And Connie Kurth was the photographer and she's laughing at me too about it. But I was like, I got to get the shot. So
Frito, I had a lot of fun with Frito in Australia. It had been a minute since I worked. Actually, the last time I worked with Frito was in Qatar.
Yeah.
Because he does all his cool gigs with Red Bull and NFL. But him and Kyle Friend just joking around. We came in on the first day and just joking around with Kyle Friend and Daniel Freitas.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a good time. I love working with those guys.
The biggest issue I have with Frito is that whenever he's around, you're never the coolest dude in the room. Whenever Frito is around, he is automatically the coolest guy in the room. And it's just it's so effortless. Oh man,
that's what makes him so cool, man. He's not even trying. It just happens.
No, he's not even trying. It just happens. He's the coolest guy always. He's always the best dressed. He always just looks so effortless. I remember distinctly, we were in João Pessoa and it was the first time I was working with him. And of course, Brazil and in João Pessoa, the sun rises at 4 a.m. So those 11 a.m. matches are essentially or 10 a.m. matches in the morning. You are drenched. And once again, it's fall in Canada, so I'm not used to all this weather. And I'm coming in just red face, just drenched in sweat. And Frito's coming in sup, bro? How's it going? Just no care in the world, not sweating at all, just like making magic. And I was like, how do you do this? Like, I look terrible and feel terrible right now, and you just look like you just look like you're out there for a stroll.
Yeah. And also too, he's so creative when it comes to just coming up with new ideas and testing them and making them work. Yeah. It's always a great experience getting to be around him and, get some ideas from him. And, I think also too, like working on a team as a videographer is huge because a lot of the time you're on your own and you kind of just have to like create and go through your own processes, but being able to sit down with another videographer and chat about like his processes, because he does things completely different than the way I do things, and being able to, pick up a couple things from him and, maybe help him out with a couple things that I know, but just being able to trade knowledge with other videographers also has been a huge part in terms of my growth. I'm like I said, I mean, like we both said, I'm still very new in this industry and still learning a lot, which is one of my favorite things, is being able to pick up new ways of doing my work because, I still have a lot to learn.
Honestly, it's funny you say that because I have a distinctive moment. Like one of the moments that I remember the most from Qatar is us sitting in that like little media tent that we had with no AC and just completely open to the hot Qatar air. And you and Frito just sitting at the table talking process and talking how you would approach something and just going back and forth. And I remember like I should have been doing work, I should have been editing something, and I couldn't help but like take my headphones off and listen to you guys because it was so interesting just seeing two like people who are very good at their craft trade like trade secrets, like I really wish that I had been able to film that and upload it to YouTube, and I'm sure it would have gone viral by now. But like in speaking of that, is that why you have your Discord? Like I know that you have your Discord channel and that there's a lot of other young up and coming videographers and content creators within the volleyball space who are a part of your Discord, and you just kind of go in and chat with them and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I have my Discord, but I've been really bad about maintaining it and being active on it, which is something that I would like to be more active on. But I think
it's also hard when you're everywhere in the world all at once.
Yeah,
like...
yeah. It's also hard when I don't really have a standard. Yeah, I mean, I do really enjoy interacting with fans. I mean, honestly, I feel like the best way to really get with me and connect is through Instagram DMs. People think it's crazy, but I'm because I have a lot, it's increasing in the volume, but I do go through and see, I would say 95% of all my DMs. Some of them do get lost in my requests, but for the most part, I try to go through them at least once a month. If not once a month, at least once a week. But I do spend too much time on Instagram, and I do see a lot of the DMs. Something that I do is I'll go through my requests, and if they're okay, so the two things that I look for in messages is if they're following, then I'll accept it and I'll accept the request and just leave them on scene if they don't say anything, or if they're just sending me reels, or if they send a question or send something of like so like a real person is actually thinking on the other end, and not just sending me reels.
Yeah, that's fair.
Not that I, opposed to that, but yeah, I mean, I see most of my DMs. I mean, I'd like to really develop that community with Discord, which is why I created it, but I haven't really been very good at being on top of that. But it is something I want to do, but I do understand that I'm not very good at it right now.
I mean, it also comes with the territory of being, as I've said, one of the busiest and hardest working people in volleyball. So it's pretty natural.
I do what I can. I do what I can because I do understand that, I have been in a very fortunate position to be able to do the things that I do. And, I just want to take as much advantage of the opportunities as possible and, make the most that I can. Yeah.
It's because like when you're with Soul, are you two just like competing about like who works the hardest? Like, is it because like truly, like no offense to you, but like you work hard, but I've worked directly with Soul for like, I worked directly with her for almost a year. And I don't know if I've ever seen someone work as hard and as efficiently as Sol Di Diego. She is one of truly the unsung heroes of world volleyball and volleyball world all around altogether.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I take zero offense to you saying that Soul works harder than me, because I hands down agree with that point. I feel like she makes my life so much easier when it comes to working with volleyball internationally. Her understanding of volleyball and her understanding of social media is just so vast, and being able to work with someone like that just makes my life so much more easier, and just the comfort of mind of knowing, like, I love working events with Soul because I can really focus on what I need to do, and just focus on filming volleyball, as opposed to like focusing on, a million different things in terms of like coordinating with athletes, coordinating content, coming up with content, planning, doing everything that she does just makes my life so much easier. And yeah, I think she brings a lot to the table when it comes to everything that goes on with social media for volleyball world. So
I think she brings the table, to be perfectly honest.
yeah,
Like if
I mean,
it's
there's a lot of
Thanksgiving,
people. There's a lot of people who help her and help her do what she does, but yeah, I don't know what the volleyball world social media would look like without her. It would be, yeah.
I don't even want to think of that of that world as well. And I mean, like in my dealings with volleyball world, there was like two teams that was massively impressed with, like the social team in general. Everyone there are volleyball people who work extremely hard, and then of course the ops team is as I already said, like those are the people who really are like the bread and butter of that organization and keep so many things going on. Yeah, like I know if you and Soul are in the same room, it must just inspire other people to
Yeah.
to keep things going.
It's pretty crazy. It's me, Soul, and one other person on the ops team, Wendy Miranda. We were the only three people who were at every 3 competition day of all 3 world championships.
Wow. Wendy, once again, she's a good old Mississauga girl, right? Another Toronto, another member of the Canadian Mafia out there rocking it. So it's crazy. Volleyball is crazy, man. Are you glad you picked up a camera and now you're embedded with us forever?
100%, man. No regrets into the decisions I've made. Definitely a lot of challenges along the way, but I mean, overcoming them is what makes it so fun. I feel like I think the kind of challenges and things that have to be overcome in this industry are ones that, I feel the most fulfilled behind, and something that I don't regret getting into. And yeah, I love this sport, and I love what I do.
Well, we are very lucky and thankful that you have chosen this sport and you do what you do, because once again, as I said before, you are one of the best, and it is a pleasure to get to see your stuff. It's been a fantastic ride to be able to watch.
Thank you.
And yeah, like I've been stoked to see it. Been very happy, very, very, very happy for you along the way.
Thank you. I appreciate that a lot.
Like, any plans for a little bit of time off for you? You're going to be hitting up NCAA Final Four, that kind of stuff, or you just going to be moving into your new place?
Yeah, I mean, I just finished moving in. Plans for time off. I mean, yeah, really just finding out ways to make this work financially. In terms of NCAA Final Four, NCAA is a lot more stricter around women's volleyball. I think I offered a couple times to the NCAA to go in to shoot it for free, but I didn't really get any responses on that. So the last 3 years I tried a lot, or the last 2 years I tried a lot in terms of trying to get into the women's NCAA Final Four, but I just had no luck on that end. So I think for the time being, I just haven't really been. This year, I really just didn't even try, because especially with world champs and everything I have going on, I've probably edited and posted or delivered maybe 10% of the footage that, I mean, I delivered all the footage, but in terms of like editing the reels and the amount of potential, I've probably only gone through about 10% of the potential of all the content that I recorded this year, from the 6 VNL stops to the 3 world champs and the 3 beach stops, or 2 beach stops. It's insane how much content I have on my hard drives.
Yeah, I bet. And going through that is always such a daunting task. Honestly, straight up, it's one of the reasons why I stopped, like I just started doing stuff on my phone, because then I could just kind of like scroll through on my phone. I found it way easier to be able to delete. Like if it was a bad play, I would immediately delete it. if like I could scroll through right there on my phone and see it like, oh, immediately to the delete box. So then I knew that like at least 90% of the stuff that was in my reels or, you know, in my timeline and stuff like that was at least decent. And then I could just kind of like curate from there. Cause yeah, having to go through and sit there and go through hard drives sometimes is a little
Yes.
daunting.
Yes.
Daunting, let's say.
Daunting, time consuming, but yeah, I enjoyed a lot. I mean, I think one thing that I did for NCAA to help with going through it all was I was live streaming it for a little bit. The problem with Volleyball World content is I don't own any of it, so I can't live stream it. But for NCAA, I did have a lot of fun live streaming and just chatting with people while I would go through the content, because that, especially for men's, like the NCAA, I mean, everyone knows this, but the NCAA hasn't really given too much attention to men's volleyball, which honestly has been the biggest reason that I've been able to grow so fast, is just the accessibility to all these games. So it's a pro and a con in itself. You know, I try to do my best to help get as much recognition as possible to the men's game.
Well, we appreciate you for it. Truly, you are one of the best who does it. Before I let you go here, any like shout outs or people you want to thank or things you want to mention? Like, this is your time here to kind of brag or, you know, thank people or, you know, let people know what's coming up next for you.
Yeah, I mean, first, shout out to my family and my parents for, you know, supporting me through this journey. I mean, I wouldn't be able to do it without them. And then second, shout out to my fans. Appreciate all my followers and everyone else that has supported me through this journey. I mean, I also wouldn't have been able to do it without you as well, supporting my journey. And shout out to Everett for putting together this podcast and inviting me on here and gassing me up.
Okay. I'll gas you up. If ever you're feeling down, just shoot me a message and I'll gas you up any day of the week, bro.
Cool. And I mean, if anyone listening, if you guys ever see me out at an event, don't be afraid to come up to me. I think the only times would be like maybe match point is probably a time that I would probably ignore someone, but any other time, if I'm in the stands or I'm somewhere near or you see me, like, don't be afraid. I love getting to meet you guys and being able to chat with you guys.
Awesome. Well, Josh, I can't thank you enough. You've chatted now for 2 hours. I'm sure you've got a ton of editing to go do at this point. So really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us. Thanks for all you've done for the sport over the past 3 years. We're lucky to have you. And yeah, I hope I get to see you in person soon. It'd be nice.
Same. Hopefully I get to see you around soon. And yeah, appreciate all you do as well, and appreciate you having me on.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks, man. Thanks a lot, guys. We'll see you soon.
See ya.
Bye.